Everybody, so this week I got on and I talked about emotional regulation, what it is and why it's important. And so tonight my kiddos are helping me with an activity to help your kiddos understand emotional regulation, and I'll talk more about it tomorrow. So first, what is emotional regulation? Emotional regulation is the ability for you to control your emotions so that way they don't control you. Emotional regulation is not avoiding our negative emotions or ignoring our negative emotions because they don't feel good. When you can regularly practice emotional regulation, you develop your ability to have emotional regulation. It protects against depressive and anxiety symptoms. Also, kids that are more able to use emotional regulation tend to have better control over impulses, inhibition. All those skills are in the same part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, which we'll talk about next week. But as you continue to develop this portion of the brain, all those skills will develop, and so will the ability to emotionally regulate. Things to know. Small children do not have the ability to self-regulate independently, which means they depend on the adults in their life to teach them how to regulate or to help them regulate before a certain age. The prefrontal cortex, or the part of the brain that does emotional regulation, doesn't start developing until the ages of 4 to 6 and doesn't stop developing until the late 20s for men and women. What does this mean? When our children are young, they depend on us to help them learn emotional regulation. And emotional regulation is like a muscle. If you don't work it out, it doesn't grow like it should. So the things that we do are teach, model, and talk. Teach. You can teach your children emotions and the names of emotions, how they feel in the body. We do this either through pointing it out in the videos that we're watching, our siblings, our family members, our friends. We can also do it through reading books together and pointing out what's happening in the books emotionally for the characters and why. Modeling. Modeling is that we are actually living the emotional regulation life. So as parents and caregivers in the lives of our kiddos, we are modeling and talking about how we're feeling when we need space, how we calm down. Kids learn best by seeing what you do. And this is children of all ages. Have you ever had a teenager turn around and be like, you tell me to do this, but you don't do it? Model. And finally, talk. When you teach emotional regulation to your kids, you want to use your words and label their feelings rather than saying, you're okay, it's fine, we're good. Talk about how they're feeling. Reflect their feelings back to them. I can see that makes you feel really upset. Or when I'm upset, label your feelings. You want to include feelings vocabulary as much as possible to help them learn that that's a foundation and put meaning to their experience. So that's what emotional regulation is, why it's important, and 3 ways that you can start laying the foundation for your kids to practice emotional regulation. Teach, model, talk.